please identify yourself and where you're from, and try to keep it to 2 minutes.
Hi,
Hello.
Janet Gallardo. Just a question about the path that they're putting in under the freeway.
Yes.
Caltrans?
Is it concrete?
I don't,
No, they put a curb in today. I saw a little something that was concrete, but I don't.
My question is just, I'm wondering if they consider the horse travel at all.
well, what we asked them to do was consider putting in K-rail, just so, you know, we've had several incidences where cars have come in and kind of pinned into those stanchions there under the freeway, so that whoever is traversing, be it horse or pedestrian, they could be inside the K-rail in that path that they've cleared out. The only request we had with the K-rail was it allow drainage to flow so that it didn't pond or, you know, cause, you know, flow concerns and stuff. So, but we've been in contact with Caltrans, and they said they were going to start doing some work, like, you know, about 2 months ago, and then they jumped on it pretty fast in January, but we aren't getting, like, we don't have their plan. We just know what we've asked for. I think they're gonna do the K-rails, so to separate cars from people, but, and horses, but.
They have a big pile of those little stones. I'm hoping that that's what it is instead of just concrete.
Concrete. Yeah.
I don't believe they're going to concrete it because when at the meetings we always talked about DG there.
Right.
And
Although, I mean, the stones have to be the right size,
Right.
because if they're too big, then they're not good for the horse. If they're way too big, then they're not good for anybody.
Right.
But if they're too small, then they'll wash away. So I don't know, actually. You know what we can do is I'll send Ken an email to find out what the plan is, because our grant proposal was not successful. So they're not, as far as I know, what we had proposed is not being implemented, but maybe parts of it are. I don't know.
They did say they would do as much as possible.
Yeah, exactly.
They did say
So they've been
Caltrans
awesome.
would do as much as they could, with, you know,
So we don't know
what that means.
know necessarily what we've had so many things going on, we haven't been able to, you know, keep up with it. So.
Thank you.
Yeah, I looked at it today and it looked like they put in a little cement, very shallow curb to hold in the grading that they've done.
Oh, okay.
So they were doing cement work today, but it wasn't a full sidewalk kind of thing. They just had a shallow little roll-off kind of curb they put in there.
I'm not going to state my name because I want to remain anonymous on this one, but I followed up and wrote a letter to Catherine Marger, also to the sheriff, outlining the crime problem and my opinions on how to solve them, and focusing on the trailer park. I see in the Country Journal in the minutes, there's a name for it,
Yeah.
the Cactus Creek. I looked it up, I said, God, that's the one. And I never knew there was a name for it, but anyways, that was 10 days ago or so, I still haven't got a response. But
We did put it on the agenda. We have
We've done a lot of
a
research.
lot of research on it as well.
I sensed that.
So,
That's why I'm here, because I wanted to listen to it, but anyways, I did follow through with letters, and
Thank you.
not gonna let that slide. I demand a response, so give them a little more time.
do you, would it be possible for you to forward those emails to the town council website? Or?
I mailed them.
Oh, okay, you don't have electronic copies.
No, it was a hard letter.
Okay.
And then I wanted to compliment the town council on the response that I read in the Country Journal on the business registration.
Oh,
Very comprehensive, leaving them no place to hide. So
it's a
if
pretty
you need support on
disturbing-
that, you can always include me. I'll write a letter or whatever, because I feel the same way.
It's on the agenda tonight, so we'll be talking about it. But I appreciate you saying that, because we all did work very hard on that letter, and it's important.
Oh, it's comprehensive.
I mean, they
It's
didn't even
great.
define what a business is. I mean,
Yep.
Town council might actually be a business registered, subject to this, so it's, anyway, I appreciate that.
Thank you. Anything else? Going once, twice? All right. Trucking along. All right, minutes from the last meeting.
Did everybody get to read them? I haven't read them yet. Okay, sorry.
Well, y'all can hold off, because I gave you a copy of this, of the special meeting too.
Okay.
So if you want to pull it to the end, if you get a chance to read it, yeah, we'll have to approve it next time,
We
okay?
can table it then. All right. Treasurer's report, we're gonna skip that. Pam is not in attendance. Deputy Soffa. It's on.
All right, for the month of February, there was 38 incidents. So there's one assault with a deadly weapon, there was 2 burglaries, 2 burglaries to other structures, there was 1 grand theft from an unlocked vehicle, there was 1 grand theft vehicle, 2 forgeries, 2 frauds, 1 weapons law misdemeanor, 2 misdemeanor possessions of a controlled substance, 1 drunk in public, 4 disorderly conduct, there was 1 vehicle and boating law, 3 felony vandalism, 1 miscellaneous felony, 5 petty theft from unlocked vehicles, 1 suspected child abuse, 1 suspicious circumstances, 2 repossessed vehicles, and 5 vehicles were stored or impounded.
5 vehicles were impounded? That's a lot.
Yes.
What
So
was the-
yeah, it's still it's cars breaking down off the freeway, and that's the majority of them. So they sit longer than 3 days, and the parking enforcement comes out, they're red tagged, and then they come back and they tow them. They seem to stack up on Sierra Highway in between Crown Valley and the like the pizza place. So
So how many incidents were there?
So-
Did you say?
38.
38, okay, so it's down.
So
It's down.
it
From
is.
December, thank goodness.
So, but we also had the weather that may have impacted it also. So, but with that said, 2 people are in jail. So another one is a named suspect in a domestic violence report. So they're slowly
Removing
they're
themselves from.
slowly sinking their own ship. Yes. So. But yeah, one went for forgery. The other got arrested for his no bail warrant, and then so but that's where we're at on that. And I know for sure one is still in jail because I checked on it this morning. So he's still at the station.
No, that's right.
Anything else? No? All right.
Okay.
Thank you,
Thank
Deputy
you
Soffa.
very much.
We are cranking.
Just wondering if they stay in jail.
Yeah, yeah.
That's no better.
Mr. Wall.
Can I start? I really do want to put a thank you out to the friends for the little cake here and the lemonade. What this is from is today we had our Read Across America celebration. We were celebrating Mo Willems, the like the piggy and elephant books and Don't Let the Pigeon Drive the Bus type of books. So we had a lot of fun with that today, and so we had things left over and we're like, it's right here. So thank the friends for that. If you find someone member, thank them next time you see them. On to other library happenings. March 25th, it's a holiday. It's Cesar Chavez Day. The library will be closed. Don't bother swinging by. Another one of those days. I wanted to highlight, we got some bookmarks out in the library, and I was going to mention it again here. I mentioned it a couple meetings ago, I think. The library really created a brand new app. So if you look for LA County Library in your app store, you're going to find a very nice, well done app actually. If you had the old one, I apologize in advance. If you had the old one and you're looking at me going, why is he talking about that? Forget the old one, get the new one, it's much better. And just real quick, a few programs coming up. On Tuesday, March 12th, there's a couple things I want to highlight. At 3:30, we've got David Cousin coming by. He's a juggler. He does a comedy juggling act for kids and teens, and a lot of fun. He's really good. And then also that same day, the previous day, that same day, March 12th, at 6 o'clock, You may remember for January, I was talking about how JPL was coming to talk about Cassini, hoping the government didn't shut down. We all know how that worked. Government was shut down, talk was canceled. It's been rescheduled for Tuesday, March 12th at 6 p.m. here in this very room. Still looking forward to it. Hopefully everyone comes. Try and get if you know a friend who was looking forward to it and didn't make it, or was disappointed because they were one of the ones I turned away, let them know they are coming back. And I haven't heard about another shutdown. Last thing I'll highlight, on Thursday, March 7th, so it's Thursday of this week at 2:30, we've got an anime drawing workshop. We had one a couple months ago. It was very popular. A lot of kids were here for it, so we're hosting a more in-depth one. The same gentleman will be coming to talk about it, and just more instruction, more guiding towards anime drawing. Other than that, that's what I've got. Yep.
On the JPL, what are they gonna be discussing?
The Cassini mission. I apologize if I nicked.
And if you know what Cassini is, you're probably old like us. 'Cause it's been out there for a long time. So I believe Cassini actually has left the Milky Way, right?
Oh,
No, Cassini crashed into Saturn.
What's that? Am I wrong? Am I got the wrong
I think you're
spacecraft?
thinking Voyager.
Am I
yeah,
thinking
Voyager, that's
Voyager's gone out of the solar
1976
system.
or
Right.
something.
Cassini crashed. They crashed
Yeah.
Cassini into Saturn.
Oh,
Was
okay.
that
Well,
the
my
one where
apologies.
they mixed up kilometers and miles? No,
No, that was Mars.
No, that was Mars.
Okay, my apologies.
Oh, that's okay.
We're gonna, see, we have to learn about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
We can all come and find out which one it is.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, well, that's not as interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right, I'd like to invite up our friends from the Department of Public Works.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Patrick Holland. I'm a principal engineer with LA County Public Works. We've been working with several other county departments for the last, going on nearly a year since the Board of Supervisors introduced a motion directing a working group to be formed to address illegal dumping. We're very aware that many properties up in the Antelope Valley, particularly here in the Acton area, have been victims of illegal dumping. We've met with some of the members here from the Acton Town Council at their request at the board office, having some discussion, wanting to hear kind of status updates on some of the actions that the county's taken, trying to address this. You have Deputy Soffa, who's the boots on the ground out here, who's getting calls responding to this. We've got our friends and partners at regional planning that are going out responding to these. Our friends and partners that I've joined with tonight from public health that go out and do the site investigations, the district attorney's office that's trying to prosecute folks, kind of et cetera, a whole bunch of county folks wearing different hats looking at this. So during that discussion at the board office with the Acton Town Council reps, we kind of discussed a couple of situations where a couple of property owners seem to be taking in a lot of green waste, a lot of compost on their property. And through that discussion, I kind of explained to them that just having green waste on your property in itself isn't an unpermitted illegal activity. In fact, it can be permitted and can be a regulated activity, but there are certain parameters that need to be followed, certain activities, et cetera. And so during that discussion, I thought, well, maybe it would be helpful if we made a brief presentation to the town council on what some of those guidelines are. Also during that same meeting, we discussed ways for people to report illegal dumping. So hopefully all of you have the hotline 888-8-DUMPING memorized, speed dial, etc. So you can make those reports. You call and you'll talk to a human during normal working hours. They'll take as much information about the report of the illegal dumping, the location, the type of material it is, other details, etc., so that we can send the appropriate departments out to respond to these reports of illegal dumping. Another very easy way for people to report it is with their cell phones. So the first presentation I'm going to go over tonight is an app that the Department of Public Works developed. We've since folded in a few other departments' activities, but this is just going to be a very high-level overview on how to download the app, familiarize yourself with it, so that you can also very easily, maybe, what I see on my screen is different when what you guys see. So there we go. So that you guys can download the app. It's very simple, and if you have questions about it, I'll leave my contact information, business cards, etc. After I go through this presentation, then I'll have Eric Morofugi from the Department of Public Health come and co-present with me on the mulch guidelines. So, what is the Works? That's the title of our app. It's a one-stop solution for county residents to report a number of different things, whether it be the illegal dumping, whether it be graffiti, potholes, flooding issues, etc. So it could be helpful for you guys to report other things in addition than just illegal dumping, what I'm here primarily focused to talk to you about. So how would you get to it? Just like you would any other app, you go to the App Store on your phone. This is an app that works both on iPhones as well as on Androids. So you would search the App Store, search for the Works, you download it, and you're on your way. So this is what the home screen of it looks like. There are 4 kind of options from that home screen. You can either report something, you can locate yourself, let the little smart device actually locate you. You can check the status on a report that you previously submitted, and then you can find other just kind of news, events, etc., contact information, primarily for the Department of Public Works. So focusing on trying to report illegal dumping, you would first select, I want to, you would find your location. And the cool thing about this is you might be in a desolate area where you don't necessarily have good parameters on where it is that you would try and describe where the activity is. Assuming you're in where you have cell phone signal, your phone will geolocate you, so you can just kind of say like, find me and this is where the activity, this is where the problem is. And then you would hit next on that. Then you're gonna have to select, well, I reported where I'm at, now what am I gonna report? So there's a drop-down menu that you see on that second kind of cell phone looking screenshot. In this case, it was illegal dumping. Now the next question that it'll ask you after you've selected illegal dumping is, are you within a flood control facility or are you within, what's it say there?
Road property.
Road property, thanks, my screen's small. And then select. Now, if you don't know, just make your best guess. Again, the better the quality of the information is, the easier it's going to be for Public Works or the various county departments to be able to go out there and respond to. If you don't know the answer, then you may have to take a guess on, I don't know if I'm in a flood control facility or if I'm in the road or in some private property. Just select one of them and be able to get your report in. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to select like, well, what kind of issue is it? And so the example shown is that it is
Debris.
So we've got, it is debris, clothes, tires. It would be helpful if we knew if it's trash, good old-fashioned household trash that people are going out and throwing out the side of their pickup truck or out the back of their pickup truck, or if this is construction and demolition debris, whether these are big piles of dirt, rocks, broken asphalt, concrete, etc. Again, the better the information we have, the easier it is for us to be able to go and respond. So after you've reported it, if you want to go back and kind of check on the status of it, that's where this one, at the very beginning I showed you could do. One of the things was to check on the status of the report you filed. Then you should be able to go back, find the report that you filed, and if you filed numerous ones, if you've seen numerous graffitis or numerous illegal dumpings, you should be able to go back and find the information. What is the status of that? You could then call the 888 Clean LA or 888 dumping number and say, hey, I made a report on such and such a date. I want to find out what happened with that. Did a county department go out and respond to that? What is the status of that report that I filed? So pretty straightforward. I didn't develop the app, so I'm not going to say it's maybe the most user-friendly one. And this is our version 1, so to follow up with the gentleman from the library, hopefully we don't need the version 2, but as you guys use it, I think we want to be receptive to feedback. We've gotten a lot of feedback, and it is a work in progress. We changed some of the screens, changed some of the drop downs, but if you're finding something that isn't user-friendly about it, please reach out to me. I can't promise that it'll get fixed right away, but if we hear from enough people that this is an issue with it, then we'll send our IT folks, on it to reprogram it or to make a, some sort of better functionality. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I just might suggest, because you talked about having a good cell phone signal, and out here that could be possibly not the case, is having it at least store the location so that when you get into signal, you could then report
That one I might defer to our
Yeah,
IT folks,
that's fine.
because I
I'll-
don't know if you were literally in a place where you don't have this signal, is it somehow gonna be able to like?
Well, it should be able to get the GPS code. I'm in IT, so I'm cheating because I
Oh,
know
so
the
you
answer.
tricked
So,
me.
I'll put an email, but it's just something that would be really useful because there has been spots, especially like if you're down on Soledad area where there's Zippo coverage,
towers.
and that's where there's a lot of dumping goes on. So it's like, yeah, I mean, I've tried to use the app and go, oh, I got no signal, I can't do anything.
But you still have GPS there?
Yeah, because you have GPS, as long as you have open sky, it should be able to get the coordinates, store them, and then like maybe later you go and say, hey, that's where I was when I saw it. So anyway, I'll put it together. in
Shoot me an email and I'll check
Yeah.
with the IT folks,
Yeah.
because if there's something like some workaround that they can do to make that functionality in
I'm
that
sure.
situation, I think we would absolutely be
Yeah.
receptive to trying to fix it. Yes, ma'am?
Is this different than the 311 app?
It is, so this one's specific to public works, like the 311 I think is just for like general like county information. I don't know,
Right, but
honestly.
you could report dumping and you could report potholes and, problems. on the 311.
So that's news to me, I'm not familiar with the 311 app. You
Yeah,
can
'cause
report
I've
illegal
done it
dumping?
with that one. Yeah, I've done it with that one, I didn't know if I could use it out here.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I have to look into that one. I'm not familiar with the 311 app. Is anyone else in the room familiar with the 311 app or used it for reporting illegal dumping? Thanks for sharing that, though. I was unaware that there was another
I
one.
use it for potholes.
Oh, for potholes, okay.
When you go and you look at your history of reports,
Yes.
did you say that you had a call to find out the status of or will it show
No,
you?
it shows you the status of it.
It shows you the status on the screen?
Yeah, my point of calling is depending on the type of information that's put back in this system, it may not completely answer whatever question is you're looking for. You should have a reference number there that if you called someone might be able to get into a system that has a little bit more information, up-to-date information. I mean, the information in the system's only as good as those that are back populating it. So if there is something that doesn't seem to be answering all your questions, that's when I would recommend calling the 8888 dumping number. Okay. How about additional questions? Yes, sir.
Do you know if there's been an uptick in complaints about illegal dumping? I'm only asking because Friday, when I was out front working, I had a person stop by and asked me if I was interested in free dirt. Yeah, no idea. I just told him I wasn't interested, and he went up Hubbard, and then he eventually came down and left. So I'm thinking, because we haven't seen anything like this since May, June of 2017. So I'm worried that it's, because you still see those dirt trucks on 14 all day.
2018. Yeah.
18, rather, I'm sorry, 18. So I'm worried about this is starting up again.
Well, we've had several emails in
That it's picked up.
Peaceful Valley and the Ward Road area, but nothing up Hubbard that we've heard, but maybe.
My short answer is it's increased tremendously in terms of at least the data that we have in terms of our database for the number of illegal dumping reports reported. That's overall over the entire county. I would have to kind of zoom into the data set to see in this particular area, but from all the conversations we've had with members of the community, members of the town council, is they have absolutely seen an uptake in it. Deputy Soffa, that's part of our working group, he's talked a lot about a lot of the trucks out here. Our friends and partners from regional planning have been out here from public health on numerous occasions to respond to reports of it. So the data and information that I have is, yes, it has increased significantly. And being able to report it is not preventing it from happening, but it'll hopefully allow it to have the attention necessary, and that we're working as I would say a county family and trying to address this and really trying to prevent it from happening. It's how do they say there's been a comparison that it's like that arcade game of whack-a-mole, with friends and partners like Deputy Soffa and those, at the other county departments I mentioned. I feel like we seem to be getting a pretty good handle in some areas and whacking that mole. Unfortunately, it pops its head up in other places though, and the problem doesn't seem to just be going away.
No, because they have to have some place to take it. So they can
Yeah.
swap where they're taking it if you.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a number of theories, I'll put it like that, of why the uptick. You know, some of it has been the increase in disposal costs at the proper facilities. Some of it has been due to just increased construction activity as our economy has been rebounding, and there's been a lot of just more construction activity. Some people think it may be related to a large jurisdiction down in the bigger part of the county that had a change in their waste collection system that may have changed how some of the material was being processed and handled, but I can't say definitively what is causing the increase in it. I think it's probably a combination of a lot of things.
So where does this data go at Public Works? And how do you guys act upon it?
So where it comes is it comes to a unit that works under me, and they're going to look at the type of the complaint based on the information that where it's located, the type of material, etc. And then they're going to dispatch, whether it's our own Public Works folks who are going to go out and look at private property issues more concerning with where there's structures. If it's just on vacant land, we're probably going to dispatch out the regional planning folks to see if it's possibly a zoning infraction. Depending on the type of material, we might dispatch out public health. And so that's ultimately the complaint, the report comes into Public Works, and then Public Works dispatches it out to the various county departments. Oftentimes there's a lot of coordination between those county departments to go say, do a site visit together. And that's some of the benefit that we've seen is, I think, just a little bit closer partnership across some of the big kind of a legal activity. So the purpose of this presentation is to just give you guys kind of an overview on what those parameters are for a property owner to be able to legally and be able to place organic material on their property. To give you guys a little bit of background, the state of California has passed some very aggressive organics management laws. And in kind of a quick nutshell, what they've tried to do is they don't want a lot of organic material being disposed of at landfills any longer. They basically said that the state law that was passed a couple of years ago said that by 2020, the state of California on a whole wants to dispose of 50% less organic material in landfills, and by the year 2025, 75% less organic material from being disposed. The whole kind of premise behind it is global warming, greenhouse gas reduction. So when organic material is disposed of in a traditional manner in a landfill, it decomposes naturally just due to natural biological microbial activity. As part of that process, methane is generated. Methane is a very potent greenhouse gas which causes climate change. So the state of California, in their efforts to combat climate change, are wanting to send less organic material to landfills. They've said basically there's 3 outlets that you can send your organic material now. You could send it to a composting facility, like a more traditional commercial scale composting facility. You could send it to an anaerobic digestion facility, which is the type of technology that like wastewater treatment plants have, where it's a large sealed tank where again that decomposition of the material takes place, but 100% of that gas is captured and collected and used for beneficial purposes like creating electricity. Or that third option that the state of California says you can do is land applications. So that's what I wanted to cover is really what are some of those parameters, and Eric's going to go into a little bit more of the details of what the property parcel owner should be doing if they're going to be having a bunch of organic material put on their property. So I've kind of described what land application is. It's pretty self-explanatory. It's placing this kind of organic material on your property, spreading it as long as it meets certain criteria. Compostable material is the type of material. These are definitions from the state of California, from the California Code of Regulations. Any organic material that will become active compost, generating a heat of 122 degrees when accumulated. Now, I point that out because one of the things that Eric checks for when he goes out, to my understanding and knowledge, is temperature, to make sure that what you can have happen if you have too big of compost piles is they can catch on fire themselves, which could be certainly a hazard, and we had some bad fires this year. So compost is that product that is generated by that controlled biological decomposition of the material. It can be used, what's made compost, landscape trippings, agricultural crop residues, paper, bulk food scraps, wood chips, manure, biosolids. What's mulch? Mulch is more going to be like your woody chip type stuff that's usually shredded and then placed over material. So what are some of the benefits? Why would the state of California want to say this is one of the 3 outlets for your stuff? Is returning this type of material back to the earth is a good thing. It has multiple benefits. You're basically, that organic material is what is natural fertilizer. So that has the nutrients which are good for the soil. And so that's why farmers oftentimes will till their crops, the old trimmings from their crops, and put that back down into the soil, back down into the ground, because that's going to keep the soil healthy. Compost, as many of you know, has water retention value, so it's good during droughts. You can put it in places where it helps retain some of the moisture to keep the plants and soil happy and healthy. So now I'm going to turn it over to Eric, and he's going to go through what some of this more kind of technical requirements are for the material in order for it to be a permitted activity, in terms of land application. So I'll stick around for questions on the part that I covered, but I'm going to turn it over to Eric now to go over these more specifics.
Thank you, Patrick. Good evening. My name is Eric Morofugi. I brought my partner, Janet Gallardo. We're with the LEA, Local Enforcement Agency. What we were given the authority from the state of California to enforce state laws and regulations, specifically Title 14 and Title 27. So the issue today we're talking about is the land application issue, which falls under Title 14. So under the Title 14, there are 4 requirements that the landowners need to meet if they're going to use compostable material such as mulch or compost to apply to their land. The first requirement is the maximum metal concentration. There are about 9 metals on the list that we are looking for. Some examples of the metals are like arsenic, lead, copper, and a few others, that I forgot on the list. But if they're able to meet those the allowable limits, then they're able to use the material on their land.
After it's been composted or before it's composted?
Well, compostable material, so mulch and compost and chip and grind material all fall under the big umbrella of compostable material. So they all are considered compostable material. So if they're gonna use a compost, then they still need to meet these 4 requirements.
But they have to compost it before they can spread it, is that?
Yeah, right.
Okay, I just want to make sure of that.
But then if they don't, and if they want to use the chipping and grinding material before they
You don't have
compost
to
it,
compost that,
yeah, then they can still use it, but they still need to meet these 4 requirements.
okay.
Yeah, and then so the second requirement is the pathogen density limits. There are 2 bacteria that we're looking for, which is Salmonella and E. coli. And again, there are allowable limits that they need to meet. The third requirement is the frequency limits. The first thing that we want to find out is if the land is zoned for agricultural or non-ag zone. If it's non-ag zoned, then they're only allowed to use the material once a year. And they can only spread it out 12, it has to be less than 12 inches thick. If it is considered agricultural zone, then they can use it 3 times a year, but it still needs to be 12 inches or less. Let's see. The 4th requirement is a physical contamination. Examples of physical contaminants are metal debris, plastic debris, or even paper products. If they're going to be able to use this compostable material, the physical contaminants need to be less than 0.5% by dry weight of the product, and it needs to be less than 4 millimeters in size. If the contaminant is plastic material or plastic film, then it can only be less than 0.1% of the material, dry weight by material, and less than 4 millimeters in size. So basically, the material that they're gonna use needs to be clean, pretty much clean, that if they're gonna apply it to their lab.
You said that was 0.5%?
Yeah, 0.5% by dry weight. So it's.
The reason I ask, and I don't know, did you want to wait until the end or?
Oh, no.
A month? It's been a problem, and Mary Lou probably knows much better than I do. Almost all the mulch facilities that deliver in the Antelope Valley have meet the contamination standard, but when they spread this stuff, it still is full of trash.
Oh, yeah.
And there's one, and Mary Lou, maybe you can speak to it better, but there's one that provides pretty clean mulch, but most of them don't. So even if it meets these standards, it can still be smelly and really dirty, full of paper and trash and garbage.
Well, when we come out and investigate a complaint like this, we immediately ask the landowner if they have the results from a laboratory to show that they meet all these requirements.
So should landowners ask for the test results before it's dumped on their property?
Or before they purchase it, yeah.
Well, oftentimes I don't think they purchase it, they get it for free. So
Oh, yeah.
is that, Mary Lou, is that right, or is that
Yeah,
wrong?
yeah.
Yeah, so.
I am totally unaware of any lab reports being delivered with mulch.
I don't
They
think people
pull up
would
at
ask.
4 o'clock in the morning with 2 semis and they dump 40 tons and they're gone before the sun rises.
Oh, yeah. So the reason why we ask for all these requirements is because in times of the season right now where it rains a lot, what happens is we have piles of this mulch or compostable material on land. The rain, it gets absorbed, the water gets absorbed by this compostable material, then all this contaminants start leaching out into the environment and then starts contaminating the environment.
So you're saying that any licensed mulch compost hauler should deliver a lab report when they bring the load?
Yeah, well, actually, the landowner is actually responsible to provide that to any agency that's going to come out and.
Well, wait, why is it appropriate to put that onus on the landowner? It should be the people who create the mulch that know that you even,
Yeah, they
this is the
can't-
first I've heard of it.
Yeah, nobody knows about this. This is,
So
why don't you speak in French?
I'm bothered. Is it the state law that says it's the property owner's obligation?
Yes.
Well, we need to fix that because you guys are the ones who license. I'm not picking on you, I apologize. But the county, you know, licenses these facilities and is encouraging ag operations, like you're saying, because of all these benefits that Mr. Holmes is saying. But they're also the ones who are gonna hang the bag and get stuck holding the bag, and they're the least capable of dealing with it or even knowing about it. How do we change this paradigm, or can we, can we have that discussion?
Well, how long has this policy been in effect?
Since January of 2018.
Since
That's fairly
January
new.
of 2008?
Yeah.
Can I ask a question as well? And the title 14 and 27, how long have those regulations been on the books?
So this
Is it
one-
something that's just been implemented now, or are these old and the state
Yes.
said, oh, we better do this now? Or-
Yeah, so this one, Title 14, Section 1768, and these three down the line were just adopted in January 2018. So we started implementing
So they're new.
and enforcing.
May I ask, I mean, I realize that you're here tonight, but what kind of public outreach have you done to circulate the requirements? Because we don't know anything that you're talking about.
And the
We have
obligation.
haulers that are intermediaries. They pick up the loads from the facilities and they deliver the load to the recipient, and they're dumping it at, could be dark, it could be 7 o'clock in the morning, and as the load is being dumped, that's the first opportunity that the landowner is having to determine what the condition of that load is.
Right.
Now, let's say he's got 20 tons dumped. They're not gonna put it back on the truck. They're gonna finish dumping and leave. We need more specific information, and we need these haulers to know that they better show up with that lab report in their hand, because we don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm not too sure if it, do you know, Janet, if it's on our website, or on each website?
Well, I'm not quite sure, but I wanna say that it is. I wanna say that it is.
Yeah.
Well, we knew that there was new laws coming, but there was no advertising going
You
on.
probably
There was no streaming of information. You know, we had a big meeting in Antelope Acres almost 2 years ago. We had 75 people in the room. I mean, it's a huge subject for us. And when they dump a load, they leave. And then we're stuck with spreading it and making sure that the trash get picked. We have people who come in and will pick it and clean it for free because it is so dirty. Now, it's gotten a little bit better within the past few months, but we need a blanket advertisement going on, because if you follow these trucks, these landowners are gonna get stuck, and then what are they gonna do?
I can say most of the time, if there are contractors or landscapers or these people that are coming out with these type of, with these trucks filled with compostable material, and they wanna spread it out for free, I would say most of the time it would be contaminated. So, I mean, I would say, to be safe, I'd rather, you know, go out and buy this compostable material if you're gonna spread it out to your land.
But most of the county certified places where you get it from do give it to you for free. I mean, yeah. So it's like, you can buy it from Lowe's, you can buy mulch and stuff, but that's not what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And you're seeking to expand the distribution of these things for all these, you know, the landfill reduction measures and all that. So there has to be some sort of partnership between the land that's gonna get it, and it actually faces apparently all of the liability.
Well,
And the certifications you provide to these facilities, that they meet all these temperature things and toxicity things before it's provided to the, we've got a big gap.
Well, permitted facilities for compost facilities, they need to take tests, right, at the labs?
Yeah, the permitted facilities that we inspect, they do provide that at the time of inspection to the inspector. They're making sure that they're meeting those core mandates, but I think at this point, what we are having a problem with is not with those permitted facilities. So the facilities, they want to get rid of their product, and they're not obviously meeting these standards, and they go to the citizens with the perception, of course, it's a free product, who's gonna say no to something free, and most of us are willing to get something for free, yet they don't understand the liability that comes with this free product.
That the state created, a recently created liability.
Well, let me also ask this, even if the lab, even if the composting place gives you the lab results, you test them, I don't know, some frequency, once a month, let's say, I don't know what it is, but they're making it all the time. So there's no guarantee that the stuff they deliver to you is the same stuff that you tested, so.
and here's a wrinkle. The solar companies are bringing it in to control the fugitive dust. And they're laying up to 12 inches over hundreds and hundreds of acres.
Thousands of acres.
These trucks come in 24 hours a day almost, and they're spreading it. You know, so they're a huge recipient. And what you're saying is that the haulers that are bringing the compost to these solar sites had better have a lab report in their hand. So if we ask our local solar project manager, if he has the required reports, he better be able to cough it up.
Right.
Well, is it possible for you to send us the list of certified facilities? Because that's the first thing.
That's no problem.
Because my understanding is places, even S-Power, so I've been working with the folks, and we asked them to put the mulch down for dust control for valley view purposes. So that was something that they accommodated. But now we're learning, I got to really talk.
Now it's getting
So-
complicated.
So we
yeah.
can put those we could put, you have to do these 6 licensed, whatever. At a minimum sort of stopgap, but I'd like to have a broader discussion on how to protect residents and property owners that are, not, they're victims,
Yeah. Well, our list of sites facilities that we inspect are on the
Are posted
Swiss,
on our
right?
website for sure.
Yeah.
But I think at this point, it's buyer beware, who gives you 20 tons, 40 tons of product for free.
But see, that's not okay from a community perspective. I guess I'm asking to work with you to
Right,
make
and I
it
think
different
that-
from that paradigm.
Right, yeah, and I think as we keep hearing that these incidents are increasing, it would be to our benefit to expand on that, not just through
That
our
would be
website,
awesome.
but it's definitely something that takes time and definitely money. So give us a little bit of time with that, but we understand the frustration.
I think you need to come to ARTC and give an overview
That's what I
like
was
you are
thinking, and that would
tonight.
be,
Because the compost is being laid on, Little Rock High School got a huge delivery, and they put it over their orchard. The solar companies are taking it. Now, we're aware that Lopez Canyon is probably the cleanest mulch that's being released. But they're not the only ones that are distributing it. And then you have third-party haulers that are coming in and acting as intermediaries. So we need you to come to ARTC and possibly to the individual town councils, because this is not a problem that's going to go away. And if you hold the landowner responsible, halfway through the load being dumped is too late for him to have a confidence level that he's legally accepting that load.
and if it means anything, what we've heard from also our state representatives through Cal Recycle, that the strategy nowadays is that the hauler will come on a free afternoon and talk to the landowner and show you a beautiful clean sample of that compost, where you will agree, because obviously you see this very beautiful clean product, but obviously it's not what they're delivering it for in what you get to see it.
And we've even seen videos of trucks coming in as the sun's coming up. No markings as to what, no logos, no transportation numbers, no nothing on the trucks. And
So we agree, we agree with the
Well,
frustration.
there's a major problem here, because if the state is requiring that a certain amount of this goes to land coverage, then they need to track where it comes from and where it's going.
The state is requiring us property owners to
Yes.
accommodate their regulations. So there has to be a way to make it happen that works for everybody,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, at the end of the day too, if it's even just a requirement that they provided reports, that way if it doesn't turn out, you can say, I got it from Joe
Right.
Schmo dumping and they
Right.
said it was good dirt, and then the state can go after Joe Smith dirt hauler.
Well,
We
let me
have a
suggest
resident
something. You have, just because it's a state law doesn't mean that the county can't develop and implement its own local ordinances, because you guys are the ones that license and certify these facilities. And it could be an additional requirement on them that they take some of the burden on in terms of, whatever it is.
Well, especially if they're
protect
supposed to be
the
doing it
property
already, right? So they're supposed to be doing this
Exactly.
stuff.
It's-
So all we're doing is just saying, hey, there needs to be something, and then with education to homeowners that, hey, if you get a load of dirt, you need to have that certificate in hand. That's your flak jacket.
That's your receipt, yeah, that's your receipt, that's the only thing you have.
But if there's nothing preventing
Right now,
the
there's nothing.
county from
To do that.
implementing an ordinance that requires that to be delivered with the mulch itself. Like, you never get a delivery of any paints or chemicals without an MSDS, or SDS now they call it, but.
Right,
same
and
thing.
another thing that complicates it is they are not allowed to move this compost outside of LA County boundaries. It must stay within the county. So that is creating
we're
even
getting
a
it
larger
all.
burden on this valley, because more people are willing to accept those gifts, if you will. you know, the two-edged sword thing.
Well, we're also the only place that can accept it.
Accept it,
Everything else is concrete.
Yeah.
Or preserved, you know, native, whatever, Santa Monica Mountains, whatever, San Diego Mountain.
Brent?
Offhand, do you know the bill number that enacted this, by any chance?
No, I don't have that, but then, my information is at the end of the slide, so you guys can take that down and then.
No worries, I can dig for it.
Okay, all right.
One thing that most people don't realize, you can be within the limits, mostly with the plastic, as far as the dry weight and the size is concerned, but once it gets spread and the wind starts to move it around, then you have a horrendous problem. And it doesn't go away, and it affects the wildlife, and like you were talking about earlier, with the weather the way it's been, and the problems with water and water retention, and it just gets more and more complicated. And it's unfair to put the burden on the homeowner. Once that load is sitting on his property and it's been dumped, the only alternative to cleaning it up is to either hire someone or take months yourself to clean that up, and it's totally unfair.
Yeah, well, we weren't aware of all the issues that was going on, like how you were saying about the solar panel company, spraying out all the mulch out there. The only complaint that we've had since, January 2018 is this one site in Dulce, where we went out and found, this landowner had stockpiles of chip and grinding material at least 6 feet high, probably maybe 20 yards deep. And so we asked him if he met the requirements. He said no, because he didn't know about it either. And so we told him, okay, well, get a representative sample, get it tested. He came back with the results, came back high in the metals, high in lead, high in copper, nickel, and then E. coli, salmonella. It went over those allowable limits, and also
And when you
a
look
lot
at
of
the
physical
product, it looks
contaminants.
really clean, right, Eric?
Yeah.
Did you tag it as hazardous waste?
Yeah, so what we did was, we issued him a notice of violation, and he was able to comply with that. He removed all the stockpiles for us.
But hazardous waste, you just can't pick it up from one place.
No, so he took it to a facility that he probably disposed of it.
Eric, have you been on the east side of Lancaster?
We probably have it all here.
Oh, this site?
No,
Oh.
have you traveled on the east side of Lancaster? We've got alfalfa farms out there that have berms that are more than 10 feet tall, and they go for half a mile or more.
Oh, okay.
So this 12-inch limit that you're discussing has been, I'm not going to say ignored, maybe they are unaware that the 12-inch limit exists.
Yeah.
So what are you gonna do about all those facilities?
So you could give us a call, email us, or.
I'll take you on a tour.
Yeah, we could do that too. We'll go up there.
Don't do it for the farmers, they don't deserve it.
Well, they're the ones that are piling it up. It's a windbreak for them.
Oh,
It protects their land. It preserves
Artificial
their
mountains.
soil.
You see piles along the freeway, Caltrans smoking all the time.
I got a question for you. So that landowner in Aguadulce with all that contaminated mulch, that dangerous mulch that can't be there, did you follow up and find out where it went?
yeah, he gave us receipts and invoices where he took it to.
What did he do?
Yeah, he sent it to a place out in,
Calumet City.
oh.
Oh, that's
No,
a
no,
hazardous
no,
waste.
no, no, we have it on record. where he
The
took it.
hazardous waste facility that I'm aware of is in Bakersfield. Is that where he sent it?
I mean, that doesn't sound
Not too
cheap
sure
to
about
me.
Bakersfield.
And see, this raises another problem that I can see already where this is going. So the innocent landowner buys or gets some free mulch and it gets dumped. And then one of you guys shows up and tests it and it's got too much metal and now it's hazardous. And now the guy's got a pile of hazardous waste. At least that's what the state labels it as. Everyone else calls it mulch. And now you gotta get rid of it at a huge expense. So to rely, to put it on the end user is absolutely lame. The people that are distributing it and selling it, those are the ones that need to be inspected. I mean, when I buy a piece of pork from Farmer John, it's not my job to certify it's clean. There's a state inspector in Farmer John making sure the meat's good before it even gets out of the building. So allowing this stuff to even leave any place without being tested, without being certified, you're trying to catch all the rats after they've gone out of the nest.
Yeah, I mean, we don't even know who's enforcing the contractors and the.
But you're the state.
No, but you guys.
You're writing the laws.
No.
We're the middleman. We're not-
They're enforcing it.
I thought you said you're
Well,
state
we're enforcing
authorized.
state laws.
County Cycle is the state agency, and they're the ones who say, you go to board.
But I think the point is well taken, because it seems, well, I know you understand, but I want to go more than that. Because it seems to me that if you can prove that you bought your compost from one of the 6 licensed facilities, that should be all the onus that the property owner should have.
Absolutely.
So,
I believe, you know, tell the truth, I don't believe the issue is with those permit contractors. I think it's illegal permitting of these type of operations, these illegal operators that are trying to sell the product, and they're not permitted.
so he got it from an illegal
So
place?
I want to
Well, he
believe
doesn't know where he got
that
it.
it is coming from illegal operators, because as it is, the inspectors are inspecting these facilities throughout the state. These are the regulations, we are inspecting on a monthly basis when we go out there. And there's also, I believe, protocols on how it's being done, but nonetheless, I don't wanna say it's really this permitted, you know, the farmer John's who's selling you the ham. I think it's illegal operators trying to get rid of this product, and then they go to you.
Then
saying,
the way to approach this is, you caution the end user, make sure you only get mulch from certified facilities, because the
Give them a
county
list.
may ask you for a receipt. And
Yes.
as far as the landowner is concerned, if they have a receipt from a certified place,
They're
it's
gold.
done. You got any problems, go talk to somebody else. I'm following the rules, but get out of here, here's my
But
action.
I think the situation we're discussing right now is not that scenario. It's a scenario where you have nothing, and now you're held liable for something that's on your property. I think this is what we're trying to say. If you have something to trust, we'll go after them, because we know where you got this particular problem. That's not where our concern is. The concern is you have nothing to show us as a regulatory agency where we can go properly enforce.
Well, you have a lot of work to do educating people, because nobody knows about this. Maybe you and the other people in your office, but I'm telling you, the residents out here have no clue unless they've already been popped. I mean, this is all new.
And we're actually very grateful to be here, because this is one of the very few opportunities we have to share with the public. So for the way we're seeing is that we're, you know, January 2008, let's get these homeowners. That's not where we're coming from. That's not intent. But it's also, we need to provide awareness, but we also, through these meetings, we believe that you guys can spread the word much faster than we can go and tackle through our website or through newsletters or through, so we can do our part, but as a community, you guys are far more closer, and you can spread the information much faster than we can.
We've got 1,200 acres going in right now on the west side of Lancaster in a new solar farm, and another 151 acres following right behind it.
And we also we're asking the county, because we're looking at potentially another 35,000 acres of solar farms in the Antelope Valley. There's already more than 40,000 acres, just so you know. So, so as a mitigation for valley fever and dust and all that other stuff, consider putting this sort of stuff down. So there's and if it can have heavy metals, I mean, that most of the people in the Antelope Valley are in wells.
You want
so
valley fever, you want
I'm like,
just lead.
no, but I mean, if it can be clean, then it should be, but we need to figure out a way to make that happen, so.
Right, and another thing that you need to realize is all these big burns that we're talking about that are surrounding the farms, particularly on the east side, Those are crops that are being grown. And if there's arsenic and salmonella and E. coli in them, then when the water runs off from all these winter storms, then that runoff is going directly into the farmer's fields. Now, how are you going to account for that infestation of salmonella and E. coli?
Well, if he's using compost, then that's regulated. And so wherever he's getting it from, he needs to provide, the owner of the composting facility needs to provide the lab results to ensure that it's clean material.
Well, let's talk about this alfalfa scenario. So, agricultural fields, folks that are producing food for consumers, they're far more regulated than what we do, than what we always. I guarantee you that these farmers are not just picking any type of compost, even if it's for free. I guarantee you, because they're being regulated by 5 more other agencies than we do. So if it means anything, that local hauler is more likely going to target you, me, whether it's living there, but they're not going to go to that one.
Okay, that's
They
why.
know better. They're far more educated in their type of business. They really are.
No,
They
I
really
don't
are.
think so.
They have too many agencies in their household.
That's
Well,
why we
can I
need
ask you to go to Antelope Acres Town Council meeting again, because I think Mary Lou could show you.
We can see, yeah, we can see
Yeah,
them.
I want you to come to ARTC because it's not isolated just to the west side.
Right.
The whole valley uses this opportunity to control dust, whether it be a private residence or the farmers. And even though the farmers may be aware that this new law has gone into effect, we heard about it before it happened back in 2017. But there's been no follow-up, no public announcements, no reminding anybody. But this lab report consequence has never been discussed with anybody. So what you're doing is you're making the end user responsible, but he doesn't have the capability of taking on that responsibility.
Yeah.
I have a question. So, can you describe the unregulated, unlicensed sources of mulch in our area? Where are they coming from? So people would know what to be aware of? So that seems to be a pretty big oversight, not to know where this contaminated material is even coming from. Instead,
that's why it is important for
you wait, waiting for it to land,
Because we do want to go after the unregulated operators. We want them in operation. We want them, we do, but so we're also doing our part as far as this.
The only way I think you're gonna trace these people is from the source. They use a third-party hauler to deliver it. So as they're leaving the facility down
it's bad
below,
material, but we don't know who produces
they'll
it.
come up
Yes,
here, and
yes.
as we
like-
know, they're not
like
allowed to go outside of
illegal
LA County.
compost operations.
So you know where it's coming from without really knowing where it's coming from.
Yeah, it's the same thing, the same problem that we had with the construction demolition material, the CMD material. You have truckloads of this going to a property owner that's willing to take all this for, way less amount than what they're gonna pay. And so they don't know where it's coming from either, because it's just coming from an unknown source.
Well,
Yeah,
except for,
like you said.
the difference though is like construction projects can be anywhere.
Yeah.
But to actually make compost in a volume that can be delivered by trucks, that's a much more singular operation. That's why, that's Tom's point, it's like, it shouldn't be that hard to find, because it takes some oomph to make, a couple, 20 tons
Yeah,
of
or if it's
compost
just
a
chicken
week.
and grinding material where they just throw it into like grinder, and then they go straight into the truck, and from there go straight to who knows where. Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I think, what we suspect a lot of the sources of this material is people trying to avoid the disposal costs. It's really an economic thing. If they take it to the proper facility, the landfill or the permitted composting facility, they're gonna pay this much to get rid of their load.
Okay.
Or they come out to the middle of the desert and pay zero or pay a smaller fee to the property owner that's willing to take
So they
the
have like
material.
giant wood chippers and they chip it and then they.
And then they say, here,
But that's still a lot of, not a lot of people have chippers that big, and probably they're permitted by the AQMD. So you might actually be able to, if you get the South Coast AQMD database and have, or Mojave Desert, whatever, AVAQMD. So anyway,
I'd like to say thank you for coming, because this
Yes.
illegal dumping issue is huge. So, you know, trying to bite off little bits of the elephant or all of that. But one of my clients is a trucking company, and they do huge jobs in Northern California, and they're always bringing dirt's coming and going, and materials are coming and going. Every dump load they bring, they have to have one of these reports that you guys are talking about. When I spoke with them a few weeks ago, they were telling me that there are so many bad trucking companies now, or individual truck drivers, truck haulers, that are giving these good companies really bad names. And they're getting stopped by the police. They're being harassed, the good people. And so maybe there's some way, or through education or something, or you know, when you tattle on somebody, if the good guys turn into bad guys, I don't know. I don't know if they would even do that. It's about the truckers. Just that.
If you guys would let me, after he's done, I can give a legislative update that would actually respond to that and some of the illegal dumping stuff.
Sure.
Right
Oh,
now.
great. Cool.
I got another question after.
What we're talking about here is pretty much commercial mulch. Have you made any new rules, or has the state made any new rules or regulations about private composting that we should know about?
No.
For instance, there's ranches that have multiple cows or multiple horses or whatever, and they oftentimes spread and compost the manure, huge amounts of it. Is there anything that people should be told about that?
I'm not too sure about the
I'll add to that. So the law that was passed that describes that organic waste disposal reduction is called Senate Bill 1383. It was passed in 2016. There's a set of regulations that the state waste agency, CalRecycle, is under the formal rulemaking process right now of how the various organics law implementation is going to go. So yes, it dictates it. It governs all the way down from all of us at our individual houses will have to manage our organics differently than how we're doing it today in the very near future. It's not only for big, large generators like a restaurant or like a grocery store. That was a different bill that was passed a few years before that was focused on businesses as generators. Now 1383 looks at every single generator across the state and dictates how they're going to need to manage their organics. So if you have interest in that and you Googled CalRecycle 1383 regulations, it's about 90 pages of not the most stimulating reading, but of how they're drafted today.
Well, I have a question, because in my experience, in the rulemaking phase of after the statute's been passed, that's where the most important work is done. No offense to people who disagree. So, and usually communities like ours benefit when the agencies that have jurisdiction over us, like Public Works, are active in the rulemaking process. So with that preface, can I ask you, is Public Works actively commenting, and what sort of things have you asked for in the rulemaking so that when this is implemented, we are impacted we get the best direction and the least impacts?
So to answer your first question, yes, we're very actively following this. This is a game-changing piece of legislation that is going to have a major effect across the entire state. As I mentioned, this affects all generators. So something that we're monitoring. Comments were due at 5 p.m. today. We got our letter in before 5 p.m. today.
So what great things are you
The
gonna
Department of
help us
Public
with?
Works, so it's a number of different things. I mean, we've been working through the informal rulemaking process directly with Cal Recycle for more than 2 years now. But what we have as wearing our jurisdiction hat on what are the burdensome requirements that we view from this law. How can we make this a implementable, achievable goal of the state to try and divert more of the organics, but how can we prevent property owners from having a illegal activity like this take place? There aren't any specific comments that we've made about the land application.
How about people who aren't illegal? They're just people who get dirty stuff or don't follow the rules because they don't know. I mean, this guy did stuff that's illegal, so I don't want to use him as the, the model that we're going to mold our recommendations around. What recommendations have you done for me, who, is just the housewife?
So I don't know if I have a real specific answer on what are we doing right now for educating people about
No, in
these
terms
kind
of the rulemaking, so that has the least impact on me.
as the individual property owner.
Yes.
Types of comments that we've made so that you don't have to. I'm not sure.
So we don't get taken to task for somebody else's bad doing.
I'm sorry?
So we don't get taken to task for somebody else's bad doing.
Exactly.
I think the best advice is what Kelly provided, and that is buyer beware. If I were a property owner right now, I would not be accepting a single load of anything from anyone, whether or not I'm getting paid for it or whether or not it's quote unquote free. Because the same thing with the situation with construction and demolition debris. You could take material and think that what you're doing is fine. You may have even gotten some compensation along the way. If the regulators determine that that material can't be where it is you put it, or that material is not permitted to be on your property, you as the property owner are going to be responsible to have it removed. So again, if the average property owner wants to take that risk, then they have to kind of gauge that risk by doing so. But I really would not advise people to take organic material from an unknown place, an unknown source, or construction and demolition debris, because the way the law is set, not the way that Eric decided for it, but the way the law is written by the legislators in Sacramento, is the burden is on the property owner.
Well,
and I hear what you guys are saying, and what I've gathered from this conversation is the county has an opportunity to educate more people of these rules and regulations. But I don't think it would be fair to say that it's the county's responsibility to educate every time our friends in Sacramento pass a law, because they don't give us the budget. They pass laws and stuff, but then don't give you any tools to even implement it, educate people, enforce on it, etc. I do think there's a great opportunity for us to educate people so that they're aware, because I feel if more people were aware of this, maybe fewer people would be accepting loads of this.
Well, that's fair. My comment was about, was it 1733 that you're doing the rulemaking on right now. Take the septic regulations. This is an example. Like, they were pretty hardcore state regulations, but then the county and other health departments stepped in and figured out a way in the rulemaking process how the rules could be generated so that it would, or developed, so that it could be implemented by the county in the most efficient way for them, but also on property owners in the clearest and simplest way for them. So the rulemaking is when the county can make these, because we don't even, I would have put comments in if I'd known about it, but the comments that you make in the suggestions on the regulations that are developed, those regulations make it easy for the county, but also balance that with the onus on the property owner.
I absolutely agree, and let me clarify, the main purpose of that law and regulation is to try and educate people how they can keep their organics from going in the trash.
Okay.
That's the primary function of it. This is just one of those three outlets that I mentioned, the land application being one of them, composting facility, or an anaerobic digestion facility. So the thing that we're focusing on trying to make it the easiest for residents to be able to separate their organic material is to keep it as least prescriptive as possible. Some jurisdictions will want to make it very prescriptive, and they'll say, you must have a fourth cart. That's what some jurisdictions in the state are going to do. They're going to have your trash cart, your recycle cart, your grass clippings cart, and then you might have a fourth organics cart. Some people aren't going to want it to be that prescriptive. Other jurisdictions will say, just put your organics in the green bin. Other jurisdictions will say, put it all in one bin, and we'll send it to a facility that has the equipment and technology to separate those organics. So that's what the county is doing, is wanting to make it the most flexible, because without going into the specifics, the county's waste hauling for unincorporated county is extremely complicated. We have 20 exclusive residential franchise zones. We have 7 garbage disposal districts. We have a non-exclusive commercial franchise system with 30 different waste haulers, and the Antelope Valley is an open market system. I can tell you that we'll be coming back in the near future to talk to you guys about options to franchise this system or to turn it into a garbage disposal district. Neither of which might be the most popular with some community members and be very popular with other community members. Going to one of those systems will have a tremendous impact in terms of illegal dumping.
Okay.
There may be 30 people that can operate in Antelope Valley, but we have one.
That's right. We
So-
got a choice of one.
We have a choice of one. So I think when we do get around to the franchise talks again, because last couple of years, there's been a lot of county's been working on it. I think you're gonna get a lot of interested folks on that.
Yeah, and we would hope, like, nothing against the one hauler that we all know has the monopoly up here, but we would hope that if there were a more exclusive system, and it's not gonna be one giant zone, it would be too challenging because it's too big of a geographic area, that you would have multiple haulers that if they know that they have a long-term contract guarantee, that you could hopefully see some interest from haulers other than the one and only that seems to kind of dominate the area.
Well, everybody else has gone out of business already.
Well, they've either bottomed out or they've been forced out of business,
They've been
right?
forced out. You know, the last one just got taken over last year. But let's get back to this information system. I'm concerned about the solar companies and the other agricultural as well as large landowners taking deliveries of compost. These people don't know that these new regulations are in effect, and they certainly don't know anything about the requirement to have a report in their hand if you come to their house. We need to change that.
That's one of the main takeaways that I have, is that we need a better public education campaign, if you will, system to educate the average property owner of what the rules are and what the potential liability is.
Well, and I'm concerned about these 3 new projects that are going in right now on the west side. You know, for all I know, they've started hauling compost already. You know,
If they have, Eric will have his contact information. I think it's after this next slide or the slide afterwards. And you can go into the Works app, report it there. You can call the 888 clean, 888 dumping line. We will go out there, whether it's public works staff or regional planning staff or public health staff, to go and investigate to see if it is a permitted activity or not. And if it's not, then we would want to have the necessary action, whether it be a notice of violation or whatever the next action is.
What she's talking about are inside city limits. Does public health have jurisdiction inside city limits?
Yes.
Just have a quick question, gentlemen, I'm sorry for your name, but you were saying not to accept mulch from anybody, but if I remember right, I've seen billboards over last summer that says free mulch, like from the county, I guess?
State of California, I think.
Okay, but who
Something big
delivers
like
that? Is that, my understanding was like Public Works or something would deliver that to your house. So I don't have the experience of ordering it before, so maybe somebody can educate me. But if I called the number on the billboard that says free mulch, and would a certified truck bring it from Board of Public Works or?
Yeah, I'm not certain.
I mean, they're advertising that it's free, and, I'm figuring it's a state sign, it's not like it's Joe's hauling service. There used to be one over, I'm pretty sure off Angela's Course, when you were coming in, because I passed it every day coming back from work, and it said free mulch, call this number.
I saw a truck on the road with one of those signs. It was
Yeah.
either the county or the state.
Well, that's what I'm thinking,
Yeah.
because I would wanna call the correct number just to get, because I would guess that they would.
Yeah, you know, I don't know the specifics, but I'd be a little suspect of them, just like I'd be suspect of someone saying free soil. Because the reality is that that person's not really probably trying to do you a favor by giving you
But it's just, what I'm
quote
saying
unquote.
is it's either, or I know it's either a county sign, or a county, I don't know, or public works, or county services, or something like that. It's not like it's waste management, or Joe's hauling, or whatever, it's either a county or a state sign, like.
Yep, absolutely.
I mean,
Again, I'll give you my business card, you shoot me an email.
it's not in there anymore, because after the elections, they had other signs up there, but I'm just saying, that's what I saw last
It's very
summer.
bright, it's very, it's.
Does it
No, it was-
count?
It was
So I
it was
wanna
an
clarify
official
something.
vehicle, it wasn't a bootleg one.
So through our waste hauling contracts, where Public Works has oversight, so I mentioned the 20 residential franchise, 7 garbage disposal districts,
Right.
30 plus. So not up in this area, because again, this is the open market system, so Public Works has no control over the one waste hauler up here. Where we do have control over our waste haulers, we have them offer free compost giveaways, free mulch giveaways. That's the waste hauler, and that's intended for a resident to come and get like a bucket load, not like a semi-truck
That
load.
seems all right.
So those are
But
like
that
more
stuff's
for your,
certified.
I understand that part.
I don't know if that stuff's certified or not.
That's Thank you, I appreciate the
I
honesty.
honestly
But you're
don't.
liable.
That's scary.
Okay, we're gonna try to, we're running long, so,
Okay, so don't order mulch from anybody then.
And except for, on your website.
I would check with one of the certified haulers to know where you're getting the product from, but just an advertised billboard wouldn't give me the
Could you
peace of
just
mind.
send us a list and then we'll post it on our
Yeah,
website?
we could do that.
That's,
Yeah.
yeah, without that list, we're going to be crippled, because what you're doing is you're coming here to educate everybody.
Just takes
This
one person
room
to get
isn't
rid
going
of
to
all
be able to educate the entire Antelope Valley in the time frame
We'll
that
try.
needs to happen.
You
Okay?
bet your mind you can pull it off.
So you guys have to come and help us multiple times.
Yeah, we could
Well,
do
thank
that.
you very much
That
for
would-
coming. I really, this has been eye-opening.
I know you were gonna update with some.
I don't
Okay,
think he's
so
done.
quick jump in
Yeah,
on
we'll-
that for, county, like providing mulch. It's actually through City of Los Angeles. They provide it to anyone in the county of Los Angeles. Quick Google search, you can
Oh,
find
nice of
all the
them.
information who to order it from.
Trust that.
City of Los Angeles will drive it
So
out.
it was a city.
Yeah,
Well,
from the city.
Will they try it out, or do you have to go there and pick it up?
From what I was reading, they just do delivery.
Lopez Canyon delivers it for free.
Is there a time?
Well, I'm saying that this specific one being offered from, like, the
Yeah, I just remember
government,
seeing
from
that.
City of Los Angeles.
I asked.
The LA City, they have their own website, right?
Yeah.
For their own facilities.
So that's
the
what-
facilities. So separate from LA County.
I wouldn't assume it.
Yeah. Okay, well, last question here, and then, yeah, then we'll.
So, I've been visiting dumps for years, and unfortunately, I legally dump, I don't. And I'm a very curious fellow, I pay attention. If you go to lots of mature landfills, they have piping systems to capture the methane. Our trucks run off of our own methane. They encourage dirt, clean dirt, organic material, so they can mix it in with other stuff and break it down. That's worked for years. What's wrong with it now?
The quick answer is landfills have an average, an industry accepted gas collection efficiency of maybe on the high end 90%. On a good, very well operated landfill, you'll collect 90% of the gas. The problem is not all of them are well operated, not all of them have state of the art equipment, and so some of them you may have like a 60% capture efficiency. So take the lower end of that spectrum. If I'm only capturing 60% of the gas, that means 40% of it's gone fugitive. So landfills by the state, not by my science, by the state of California, and by, I would say, very industry academically accepted studies, landfills are one of the largest anthropogenic sources of methane. Now,
But some
there's
of them
others.
capture it, 90%. So not all of them, it's not going all in the atmosphere.
Correct. I don't disagree with you, and there's a lot of people that are in the landfill business that aren't necessarily thrilled with these set of regulations, because what are these regulations doing? It's meaning less material goes across those scales in the first place.
And they need it.
So they're not collecting the dollar on the scale that they wanted to, or the 70 or 80 bucks a ton, right? That's what we know that they're charging.
Yeah, but they give you,
But they're
some
also-
give you a break with dirt or green material.
And they do. Most of them are gonna give you a break
Because
on that.
they want that, they need that.
They want the dirt because they need the dirt to cover the landfill at the end of the day every day. They've taken the green material because jurisdictions have been given quote-unquote diversion credit up until the year 2020 for green waste that was used, what we call alternative daily cover, to cover the landfill at the end of the day. If you used old like grass clippings or pictures back in the day, the state of California said that's okay. The landfills were okay with it because that stuff decomposes and generates the gas. The landfills, most of the landfill owners will like that gas. That gas is valued. They burn that gas on site, run it through a generator, make electricity that has a value to it. And so the good at landfill are collecting that gas. The less good landfills, that gas is going fugitive.
But you see, if I was in government, but I'm obviously too intelligent to be there, the thing I would have done was I would have required the landfills to come up to standards and leave the rest of us alone. I mean, you could put 20 landfills and deal with them and have them up to clean, 90% standards, and leave the rest of us alone.
Yeah, I think we're way off topic. Yeah,
We have standards at the
yeah,
quorum.
we're not gonna
You
insult
can't,
people.
yeah, you shouldn't insult, no offense, but
I just can't stand what comes from government. I'm not saying he's a dummy, but I just,
Understood.
they miss the point. They're gonna hassle everybody.
Understood, but.
Right. We're not operating with that level of government at this moment. so-
And I'm, again, thankful you guys came out, and I think you've been handed a certain bill of goods that you now have to work within, and you're.
These aren't the guys you're mad at.
As Janet said,
I'm mad at somebody, I don't know who they are.
They're not in this room.
we certainly appreciate it. I think there's been a lot of good feedback that we can take back. I think there's a lot of opportunity for us to educate people more. And there's, I think there's probably work cut out for the boots on the ground to go and see some of these sites to see if it is a permitted activity or not.
well, we're very grateful you came.
I know you
Thank
have-
you very much. Oh.
One more slide, I know.
Put up the slide for my information.
Yeah, sorry.
There you go. So that's my information.
Thank you.
Can you,
have this
is it possible to get a copy of this presentation?
Yeah, absolutely. I've emailed it already, and I'm happy to email
Oh,
it.
okay, sorry.
Yeah, I got it.
I was jammed today,
No.
I didn't get to email it.
Eric, do you have a phone number rather than an email address?
Yeah, the emails that I gave you, my business card, I found.
I just thought you might want to share it with everybody.
Oh, yeah. So, phone number is 626 area code. Yeah, it's in, but we're located in Morofugi. 430.
Do you have enough cards to just distribute?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Would you like one?
Thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
I'm one of the people that to be
All right, so we're gonna skip and do announcements and correspondence real quick.
Thank you. There's been several announcements. First of all, the county, if you remember, Ms. Lance from the Department of Public Health came at the first meeting in February to talk about their Vision Zero plan. They have released the Vision Zero plan. It was released last week, or I think the end of the week before, and last week. And they're looking for a 30-day comment period. They've asked to come back and present on March 18th, so I've asked if we could put that on the agenda. So please, everybody know that the county's Vision Zero plan, which to a great degree, I believe will be sort of parallel some of the traffic safety measures that we've asked the county and the state to look at here. They're going to be going hand in hand. So she will be back here on the 18th, so please come. And also, their plan is posted, and they'd like you to put comments on. We could put, if it's okay with you, a link to it or the plan itself on the website. Second issue is the Forest Service has put a posted notice on proposed forestry work to be done at the Lightning Campground located in the south side of Mount Gleason, so it's just outside the Acton CSD. An application has been submitted to revise the signage on the Grizzly Bear Burger. The developer, who is seeking a zone change for an RV and boat storage facility, has asked to present at the community, at the meeting on March 18th, so we'll put them on too, if that's all right.
Yep.
The county is coordinating a community film meeting coming up. A survey has been issued for, regarding marijuana smoking in public. And I don't know if you saw that, but we were asked to.
Weird, it was hard to,
Don't smoke near the most
it
part.
was really strange the way they asked you to answer the questions. Have you read it?
Yeah, I looked at it about a month ago when it came out from the ARTC, and I think it came from Chuck, so maybe Chuck knows a little bit more about the marijuana smoking. Did that come from you? The marijuana smoking?
I forwarded it.
Yeah.
It's was actually from Public Health and Department of Consumer and Business Affairs. So it's two sets of new regulations. One would add some new provisions to the public smoking laws I remember one of them was to specify vaping counts as smoking, e-cigarettes, and the other was to put some more requirements into the tobacco retailers laws to make sure, again, that e-vaping, that e-cigarettes count as
Oh, I thought it was about surveying for marijuana.
Oh, there was also a survey.
Yeah, that's one.
That was actually from an organization called Pueblo Solutions, has an office down in Palmdale, and it's actually made up as like a door-to-door survey. They sent it over to us, and I asked if I could send it around to the rural communities, and that was it surveyed people on how much public smoking of marijuana bothered them, or not so much public, but kind of quasi-public.
I remember what it was. It was when you looked at the survey, it asked you where you took the survey, where you.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it was like, okay, how do I answer this survey?
Well,
I'm sitting in my house.
Well, you can send it to anybody.
Just say active.
Yeah,
Anybody
who's administering it? I mean, it's all.
Yeah.
So then we should, I just want to know about it.
I don't know how long they're taking, but
We should probably post it.
Yeah, we'll post
I think
it.
this is the same connection that I think that's connected to the same county proposed new regulations on public marijuana smoking. I think some of the issues are, if somebody's smoking marijuana on the apartment balcony next door to you, does that count as public space? Can you smoke there? I don't know. So, that's good.
Well, if you feel strongly about it, we'll post the survey on the website, so please respond. A notice of violation has been issued for a property on Aliso Canyon for uncertified fill. I don't know where and who, but that has happened.
On Aliso Canyon?
Yes, and there's a notice provided at a tax store on Sierra Highway applying for a sales license. We also received a response from the Department of Consumer and Business Affairs that our comments on the proposed business registration program, stating that they will be, our letter will be filed with the letter with letters with another input from the county, from the community. It's weird. So our letter's been filed. I don't think it's been read, but anyway. Anyway, and lights on the ARCO, an email has been sent to regional planning asking about the bright lights and what the site plan was. They had that. So, yeah, so that's been done. Anyway, that's my note.
Thank you. All right.
Okay, sure.
All right, so now Acton crime statistics.
Yeah, I asked to have this put on the agenda because of the startlingly bad crime situation. It seemed like a crime wave in December and January. And when I calculated the per capita, it was disturbing. Let me see if I can pull that up.
I use those numbers in my letters to supervisor and the sheriff. Absolutely.
Okay, yeah, because they're startling. But there's some things that have happened, according to Deputy Soffa, with some arrests have been made, and we're on a downtrend. So maybe we should just table this. If we're continues going in the right direction, then is that all right? Or
I think so, unless anybody
from the public wants to comment on it, because it's going up, and hopefully it's now going back down,
Yeah.
hopefully.
I think it
Well,
just
and I
goes.
think the premise was that we thought there were two kind of areas. There were a couple individuals that were primary targets, and in a certain location, which we're gonna discuss in a minute, was also part of the problem.
Problematic, yeah, exactly.
So-
I'm hoping Deputy Soffa's not gone, but
Yeah.
it is, but okay.
All
All right, so maybe we'll table
We'll
that.
table that for now. All right, bylaws review.
Oh, good, it's back. Thank goodness.
Yeah, just hooked up. Just a letter there.
Okay, so as everybody knows, we have to do bylaws review every year. And so this year, myself, Tom Costin, and two residents, Ann Tressel and Troy Piper, joined us. And we read over the bylaws. I'm not going to do, we found a few, let's say, punctuation, letters that need to be capitalized. Not going to go over those, okay? So this is it is the strikeout version. Okay, so the first thing that we did, because throughout the whole document, we referred to ourselves as the town council, the ATC, the town council, and the council. So I just put those things in parentheses to let you know that all the way through the document, we could be called something, different, okay? And, let's see, I move this down.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
You could just arrow.
Just arrow, okay, that's even better, yes. Okay, so the next thing that we decided, since a lot of times we are asked a little bit more about ourselves, if we can make laws, if we can do all different kinds of things, we just thought that this little line needed to be added in order to kind of clarify a little bit about us. So we wrote it to be the advisory council to the County of Los Angeles to provide a frequent forum or other means of gathering community views, wishes, and concerns on issues before or to be brought before the town council. And then on to the other things that.
Do you want to say
As you
that?
go through, can we speak on each?
Yeah,
one?
yeah, absolutely.
Can I suggest something? Because we,
Absolutely.
as a town council, we have been complainants before the PUC. We've been parties and proceedings before the Public Utilities Commission and presented community concerns in those areas as well. Can I suggest maybe that we advisory council to the County of Los Angeles and other agencies and
I knew you were gonna
Yeah.
ask for that, because when I read it,
Yeah.
the strike through the other day.
Okay.
I figured, or not limited to, or some word like that.
yeah, that I would appreciate that.
Okay, so we've got to decide the wording though. Advisory council to the County of Los Angeles and other.
And others,
Regulatory agencies.
federal, state, and local agencies and organizations. Because I could see us even dealing with the FERC if we have to on some of these PUC issues.
Well, we do have two appropriate agencies on the line down there as well, which supports that.
Right.
I'm a stick in the mud, sorry.
No, I know.
When this went in there, when the red came in there, I figured you were gonna ask that question.
Yeah, I'm so predictable.
And so you want me to say and other?
Federal, state, and local agencies. It's probably
Yeah.
enough for, that's good.
The goal here was just to
Yeah.
give the primary purpose, and I believe that.
Right, and
is
we've
our
talked to the
primary
Forest
purpose.
Service, we've commented on some of their,
Yeah.
a lot of their things, so, and the National Park Service as well. So that would cover that. Thanks.
not that many things okay, one of the other things Anne actually brought this up, she wished for us to have page numbers on each page, so we did page numbers all the way through too. Those are not in red. Okay. As you can see, okay. This is the next under membership. And this was brought to our attention really because I've been on the council since 2016, and I think maybe once or twice we've had 9 people for a very short time period. So we spoke about this and decided that possibly 7 elected members would be a better number. It still gave us quite a large number of people, and but didn't keep it quite as large as So does anybody have any comments on that, or?
Since 2014, I can only think of a handful of times, less than maybe 2 years, right from 2014 to 2015, we did have a 9-member council, but after that, we've not been able to maintain it.
And I think since 2005, we've had 2 elections, because we just never got a full slate.
Right.
Full slate of people to run, yes, absolutely, exactly.
And Lillian has been running our wanted ad for 4 years now.
Well, actually, you told me to hold off.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Right, because of this,
Yeah.
but it was in there for many years.
One
You got
that's
that.
because we over the last few years.
Anytime you're ready.
We didn't change much. I keep thinking I'm gonna miss something here. This will be the longest part of the presentation. It's me trying to find the red. Okay, let's see what we were doing. Okay, I think kind of what we decided here is that instead of calling this the election committee guidelines and specifications, because we went back down at the end and called it procedures. So we thought, let's just call it all the same thing, election committee procedures, which shall be approved by the majority vote of the council, and we just decided each election cycle. So in other words, if we don't want to change anything, we just vote and say the election procedures are great. If we find we need a change, at that point, then a change could be made. That's good. Okay. And anybody that was in this meeting, jump in if I don't explain something correctly, please.
You're doing fine.
There we go.
Okay. Election cycle. There shall be no special election and no appointments during the election cycle unless a vacancy would create a situation where the minimum council size cannot be met, instead of a quorum cannot be established. Okay, so because we went down to 7 people, we had to change the number of the people in the terms. So we would change the first one to down there. Thereafter, the terms of the members shall be staggered so that 3 members will be elected in the even number of years and 4 members will be elected in the odd number of years. And then here's where we changed the width. It's going to be called election committee procedures. Election committee procedures, which all elections shall follow, shall be established by the council as defined in Article 7, Section 14A. Under parliamentary authority, okay, this is where
Kelly, should that be advisory council or just council? Shall be established by the advisory council, or is it, are you still a council?
Well, the council we defined up in the very top.
Okay, I don't
Yeah.
remember it was, okay.
Was this our section that you talked to Mike on?
That's down section 4.
Further, okay.
Article 14, section 4. So
Okay. So then, under parliamentary authority, when we read this, it was like a mumbo jumbo of words, so we just kind of wanted to make it a little more. So we just wrote, the most current edition of Robert's Rules of Order shall govern the council in all cases in which they are not inconsistent with these bylaws, and any special rules of order the council may adopt. Okay, instead of.
So to implement that, are we going to, like, when it updates every couple of years, just buy an electronic version and somebody?
Yeah, I bring it with me.
Okay.
The secretary's supposed, that's part of their duties, is supposed to have the current Robert's Rules of Orders with them.
Okay.
So, it's in my bag, if anybody needs to see it.
Oh, wait, let's see.
Okay. Now then, here, Tom, why don't you talk about this, because you asked Mike the question.
And I didn't really get a good answer from, I sent an email to Michael Hughes, who was your president before me, and had a lot of tribal knowledge on these bylaws. And he basically came back and said, well, this was just pulled out of Robert's Rules of Order.
Right.
Because
It's under the parliamentary.
under the parliamentary procedure. Now, it's my understanding that Robert's Rules of Order is something you look at when you have a issue or a question that the bylaws don't cover, or something is ambiguous, so you fall back to Robert's Rules. So basically, what this part was saying was that we would look to a majority vote of the people to ratify the bylaws after it was passed by majority vote of the council. And I don't know, Jackie, or if you got feelings on that? It seemed to me just a little out of place.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, it also seemed, I mean, half the time we have one person in the audience.
Right.
And sometimes they don't live in Acton.
Yeah.
I mean, and that made me a little uncomfortable, like, we could have people who don't live here voting on our bylaws.
What my thing too is that if it's just literally pulled out of there,
Right.
it's not, there's not a particular.
No, I know, Ms. Tressel, you were concerned that where did it come from and what was the history on
And
it?
I'm glad that you
Yeah.
researched that, and I
Okay.
appreciate it. I thought.
Yeah, if there was a good reason for it,
And my
then,
thinking was
Yeah.
that it was there for a reason,
Yeah.
and we just wanted to dig deep where it came from.
Absolutely.
So thank you for doing that.
Now, my personal opinion is that if there's an issue with these bylaws down the road, we have an election process to
that's
take care
the
of that.
mechanism to do it.
The mechanism to do it would be the
Well,
correct.
we review them every year.
And we review them every year.
And also, if anybody has comments or
Now,
concerns, they can
those
bring,
would be
yeah, I
considered,
mean,
yes.
Right, but the way this read, I would think that we would have to wait till we had this meeting, and we
Yes.
would have another meeting,
yes.
and then they
Then we
could
take a
be-
public
then
vote
we could take a
for
public
ratification.
vote on it.
So I propose that we strike all this out.
Yeah.
Lillian was gonna ask.
Yeah.
Point of grammar, amendments may be adopted only by a majority of the council, not may only be adopted. The only
Thank you.
moves down.
Point of grammar, I think that's in Robert's rules. Point of order.
What did you say
Well, I just
again?
modified.
So
It
move the
says
only
that
down,
may-
shuffle the only.
May be adopted only by a majority, under section 3,
Yeah,
may be adopted only by a majority.
yes, okay.
If that's what you meant.
Yes.
There's a subtle difference, but I think it makes sense.
Yes. I just wrote down what I wrote so that day, yes.
You guys did a good job.
Didn't even think
Thank
about
you for
it.
this.
Okay, and that is it. Yep. Everything else that was not in red was just a typo or something else that we caught.
Any comments from the community? Or the county? No.
All right, thank you. So
Can we move to adopt this today?
What?
Can we move to adopt this today? Make it done?
Don't you have to read it a second time?
If, well, we just struck it
Oh, this,
out.
no, but you have to go through the,
You have to go through the
don't we have
process.
to go through the
then-
process actually?
Yeah, because we have,
Of,
Oh, because this is not,
this is not
Yes.
ratified yet, so we'd have to go
Yeah.
through the old process, which was.
you have to read a second time, we'll have to have people in the audience vote, and hopefully they'll be active residents.
So we'll have to redo this one more time
Yes.
I think so,
I
that's,
would agree.
laws don't get a change until they
until they
change, you know, you have to change them by the process
Okay,
that.
well,
By the
Tom, you're gonna
previous
have to.
So it still has to be.
Oh, you elected official people,
Yes.
you know
We
these
have to
things.
approve it one more time before we get to-
Brandon, what's
Okay,
the
so let's
answer?
do
Do we
this.
have to,
So
we have
this is
to
the
read
first
it again and
reading.
go through?
this is
Okay.
the first, we'll post this up on the
This will be the
website
first reading.
as proposed bylaw amendments.
You would have to, even with the way you're enacting it, you would still have to do a second read because you're
Right.
Yes, yeah,
changing
yeah.
certain things
Yes.
right
Correct.
now.
Yeah.
That would have to go in for you to vote on current. If you
Yeah,
voted
makes
yes
sense.
on this now, it wouldn't, it would just adopt whatever you have in there, none of the changes that are made.
That makes
Very
sense.
good.
Yep. All right,
Can I
so-
just remove this? Or do I have to shut it down?
Exit it out.
So this is the first reading we'll post.
I'm gonna give you.
So the first reading, subject to the modifications we made, so we're good.
Okay.
All right, so then we gotta do a second reading next,
Next meeting.
next meeting.
And next meeting, we might just say bylaws are up on the website, please look at it.
Yes.
Yeah, whatever,
I'll
whatever.
send, you know what, we can send out a mail,
Blast,
Blast.
an email blast.
All right. All right, Cactus Creek, the trailer
Okay.
park on Smith and Third.
Yes, there has been, a lot of, at the last town council meeting, a public, member of the public raised